Hi, it's Rebecca Trevelise with Music Game Club, and I had a question for you. Do you ever worry or stress over lesson planning and wanting to keep materials fresh? So this is one of the reasons why we created Music Game Club. It allows students and teachers to choose from over 100 games in our shop, and it can easily replace those long theory drills, or instead of spending 5 minutes filling out a music theory workbook, you could spend 5 minutes playing a music theory game. And there's different ways that I utilize when I would play a game with a student. So you could start a lesson with a music theory game. A lot of times when my students end the lesson and they're disappointed and express that they wish they'd had enough time to play a game that week, I always promise them, okay, we did not have time, you're right. I'm going to make a note in your lesson notes. We're going to start with a game next week. So that provides anticipation for them to be excited about returning the next week, and they know they're going to get to start with the game. Another reason I would start a lesson is if a student does come in and they're a little low energy or grumpy, or just, you can just tell that having them play through their repertoire is just not going to be the most exciting thing for them to be doing right at the beginning of the lesson. So starting the lesson with a game is a great way to just kind of provide an infusion of energy and laughter and kind of get things rolling off to a great start. During recital prep season, I find myself taking a break in the middle of prepping for that. So we get straight to work, hard work, prepping for recitals. So we're mastering the pieces that we've chosen. We're playing duets. And so midway through the lesson, it's like, okay, this is great. Let's take a break. Let's play a quick music theory game. A lot of times I will just let the student choose on those days. You can also end the lesson with a music theory game. That's kind of a fun way to end the lesson. I will say that the times that I already have music theory games laid out, so I play them on the floor. I sit down on the floor with my students. When they're laid out, all the game markers are ready, the cards are shuffled and they're placed and ready to go. When the student walks in, you can see they look over at the game, they're like, oh, it's a new game, like you got a new game, or we have a new game to play, or oh, it's chameleon chords, or whatever it is. So that cues me in that is kind of like an important connection point that we are creating during the lesson, and it's enjoyable. Students really do love playing games. So I encourage you to think about when you are lesson planning and you do want to keep materials fresh, play a different music theory game every week with your students, and then recycle. Come back the next month to maybe one of the favorite games that you all play together, or one that y'all need to really work on. So as an example, in one of my lessons, my private lessons this past week, I introduced one of my students to the concept of understanding a major key signature and then finding the relative minor. And so he is playing Battle of the Bells. I briefly explained to him the concept of minor, a minor key, a minor scale. So I've made a note that the next lesson, we need to dive a little bit deeper into that concept. And I will have mythical minors laid out, ready for him to play. And he's an older teen, kind of a late beginner level, and he really has been enjoying the game. So that's just an example of kind of thinking ahead, like, oh, I have this game that would actually reinforce little bits of knowledge that the student uncovered. So I encourage you to do that in your lessons.